which meant that your employer took on some of a role of a fiduciary, meaning in their investment options, you have a large cap index fund, a small cap index fund. So if you print out your list of prospective options on your 401k, I will review them from a standpoint of fees. Maybe the fees are too high. Risk, maybe the risk is too high, and your goals. So you got to become an expert on your 401k menu. Now, if you run a company and you have one of these limited, what I call Obama menus, you better watch out, because I believe that if there's a big crash, there is going to be a wave of fiduciary or Department of Labor edicts, even lawsuits against employers for not providing a fixed option for people's retirement. So for example, if you have a menu of 10 funds, make sure that the 11th option is a fixed account. Could be a stable value account earning 2%. Could be one earning 3%. Generally, they're based upon 1 or 2 year treasuries. But if you're in the position where you own a company, or you're in the HR department, or you're on the 401k committee, you got to wake up, because you can't have the old menu that everybody's pushing at your payroll provider. Oh, but they told me I was safe. Wrong. You were safe in an up market, in a bull market, but not a bear market. So you got to get to know your 401k menu options, Kyle. And then you say, any reason to take a loan out on the 401k? No, or pull it. I'm 26 and I've been working for 6 to 7 years. Generally, there is no reason to take a loan out on a 401k. It's a very bad thing to do financially. What I'm talking about the 401k is just tax diversifying, having some money in tax-free and some money in tax-deferred and some money in taxable accounts. And do you pull it? Well, maybe you don't put as much. If that's your only dollar amount, maybe you put it in other vehicles that grow tax-free and can be pulled out tax-free. So figure that. Now, Patrick says this: if using a financial advisor, is it better to have someone who takes a percentage in payment or a one-time fee? Good question. I believe there are all these people doing one-time fee. Most of them will only help you one time. So, for example, my time's very valuable. We charge about 1% to manage your accounts, depending on how much you're worth. Max fee we charge is about 1.25%, and then it's a sliding scale down. I would never do a one-time payment arrangement, because that means you're not going to be a lifelong client. You just want some written bullet, what do they call that? Boilerplated plan. So generally, if you're doing a one-time planning fee, someone is using a software, they're charging you some fee, let's call it $2,500, to give you a list of suggestions. Sure, we do that if a client really wants that, but that's a one-time planning fee. So then you need to do that essentially once a year to keep up with your plan. And I know there are people online who do it for very cheap, but you get what you pay for. They stink. I've seen them, and they use, boilerplated software. So I generally think I would pick an AUM fee, because any advisor worth their weight is going to value their time that way. That's how I value my time. Sonia says this: do we help with trust investments? And the answer is yes. We love helping people with trusts, namely because those who have trusts, they don't understand the tax implications of trusts. So if you have a trust that you've inherited, many of you pay extra taxes, or not really extra taxes, but trust taxes. So if you have income greater than, I believe it's around 12 grand, you're in a 37% tax bracket. So what we do with a lot of trusts is we try to get you not in that 37% unless you really need the money. And there are vehicles where you will not pay taxes on money you're not spending. By the way, this comes true. This is true if you're a trust. This is true if you're an individual. Too many of you are, have a trust in dividend paying stock, or in things that produce interest, dividends and capital gains. A lot of you are not used to it because rates were so low. But if you go to a bond, a taxable bond, and it pays 4%, you're going to add that on your tax return. There are things that you don't get taxed on, things like municipal bonds, things like life insurance, cash values, things like Roths. So the more money you have, and I'm assuming there's a significant amount of money because it's a trust, you don't want to have things that are taxed as earned. You want to have things that are indeed tax deferred, not taxed as earned or even tax free. So somebody says this, I have a trust circled on a family office paying about 14% in taxes. Yeah, you could have a family office paying 0% in taxes until they need the money. I mean, what do you think Warren Buffett does? Why does Berkshire Hathaway not pay dividend? So we could help structure it so you pay as little tax as possible, okay? And legally. So give us a call. Keep typing your questions in the chat box or raise your hand. I'd love to have you up so that you can ask me any financial question you have. Give us a phone call now, 800-321-0710, and call me for a free review, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, we'll take a short break and then we'll be back with your questions at 888-988-JOSH. If you want the 27-point ultimate financial game plan, call us now, 888-988-JOSH, and then we will go to all your Clubhouse questions when we return. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial. You got to connect. Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, Sonia says this. What is the best way? Sonia, you want to share your question? Go ahead.
I wanted to know what is the best way to invest in stocks. Is it better to just invest with a stockbroker, or is it better to actually go through where you get the actual certificate of the stock so you have proof of ownership?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know many people who recommend getting stock certificates anymore. If you didn't want a financial advisor, you could go through a discount brokerage. We deal with Fidelity or Schwab. The reason is, back in the old stock certificates, if you lose them or if you get stolen or your house burns down, there goes your money. They're also very hard to pass. With a brokerage account, you can make it what's called transferable on death. So the money bypasses probate and goes directly to your heirs. Okay, so that's what I would do if you're looking at buying individual stocks. Now, back in the day, we have a lot of listeners who come to me with boxes full of drips. So the reason I wouldn't have a stock certificate is what happens if you get stolen from. Also, what happens if you die? A lot of heirs come to me and they're like, oh, my grandfather had Pepsi stock and 800 different stocks with 800 different companies, and it's a nightmare to pass. With a brokerage account, You could get financial advice from a fee-based fiduciary like what we do. Or frankly, even if you don't want a financial advisor, you could just have a brokerage account and the money passes transferable on death, and it's one statement, not 800. So I would recommend you avoid stock certificates. Now, back in the day, I'm talking like the 80s and early 90s, there are drips. If you have drip accounts, those have become obsolete because back in the day, they were the way to get stocks cheaply. You can do that now through a brokerage account. So you would go direct to the company, they would set you up with a drip, and some would even give you a discount per share if you bought it through them. That doesn't really happen anymore. In the world of 0% commissions for online trading accounts, I really think it's not necessary. So I hope that helps you.
Thank you. Good information.
So IAM says this: I wish I took money out of my 401k when Trump allowed it without a penalty. Yeah, well, we talked about that during the show a few years ago, how that was an epic opportunity. Now, you would theoretically have to pay it back, but, we shall see. So, folks, we'll talk about the history of the income taxes and why your 401k or IRA may be a big mistake. But first, back to this Genesis concept. When I see an emotional investor, the first thing I can tell you is they don't have an income plan. So the number one thing you need to look at, think about your grandparents. Who were the happiest people you knew? Those with a pension. Those who got mailbox money. They got their dividends every month on the same date. So if you're nearing retirement or if the market unnerves you, consider having enough in pension-like accounts to meet your daily living needs. For many people, that's around 10 grand a month for a married couple, 5 grand a month for a single couple. For some, it's much more than that. But that's typically when people come to me and they say, Josh, I want to make between 10 and 15 grand a month in retirement. That money, that's your monthly nut. Don't crack your monthly nut. It should be fixed. It should be income oriented, where you're getting monthly checks coming into you. And that can be achieved through pensions, social securities, treasuries, fixed annuities, income-oriented things. Now you might say, well, I don't like annuities. And some of you are too young for that. But the point is, you have to begin with the end in mind. Meaning if you have all your money, if you're 26 or 36 and you have all your money in 401k and it's making you a little nervous because it's all in stocks and it's down 30%, maybe start saving 50 to 100K in something that's more conservative so that you have money available for opportunity. Maybe when real estate corrects. Maybe when the stock market reaches bottom. And nobody can exact time the bottom or top, but we do know things are on sale. So give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, whatever question you have, no question is a dumb one except the one that you do not ask. Now, who here made a Roth IRA contribution for 2021, but your income was too high? Maybe you made a traditional IRA contribution without having earned income. These are both examples of what are called excess IRA contributions. And according to IRAhelp.com, the bad news is that excess IRA contributions happen easily and often. The good news is that if you properly correct the contribution, you can avoid penalties. So you have until October 17th to correct excess IRA contributions, or else the IRS may come after you. If you do it right, you can avoid penalties. To be sure that no mistakes are made, this is a good time to seek the advice of a professional tax advisor and a professional financial advisor. When it comes to correcting excess IRA contributions for 2021, the key deadline is October 17th. The statutory deadline is actually the tax filing deadline, which is October 15th, but October 15th falls on a Saturday, so the deadline is Monday. When it comes to correcting an excess IRA contribution, here's the thing. Here's another tip. If you don't have an excess contribution, are you putting money in an IRA? So October 17th, big deadline, or else you'll get a 6% penalty on excess contributions. But may not seem like a lot, but you don't have to pay it. I mean, it's kind of dumb. Like, don't pay a penalty if you don't have to. So Sonia has a question. Go ahead, Sonia.
Okay, so I'm 55. So when I planned my retirement, which I did retire at 50, I wanted to make sure that I had enough to sustain my life. So I think it's important for the young people listening in that they figure can you go ahead and talk about how you need to plan ahead as far as inflation and stuff. I know nobody can ever predict inflation, but how do you as a financial advisor decide that?
Well, I assume inflation. So you beat inflation by one of two things: more money. And the second answer is more money. The only way you get more money is you focus on taking your fixed interest rates and getting the best fixed interest you can. So if you're at 1%, meaning, you can't control macro inflation. That's something outside of your control. But you can control how your portfolio adjusts. So I always have a portfolio. I mean, ideally, if someone's in retirement phase, they should have 40-50% betting on deflation and 40-50% betting on inflation. So the inflation bucket would have stocks, real estate, Bitcoin, exchange traded funds, index funds. The non kind of market bucket would have treasuries, bonds, annuities, cash value, and insurance. And the real reason to have a deflation bucket is, what if the recession lasts a while? From 2000 to 2010, equities did not keep pace with inflation. From 2010 to last year, they did. But from January 1 of this year, they didn't. So a lot of people say you need stocks to beat inflation. That's true over, a 20-year period, but there are some decades where that isn't true. So that's why I like to have a bucket betting on deflation and a bucket betting on inflation, personally. So that's how I hedge listeners from inflation. And then you model out, is your retirement plan sustainable? Also, if you have a paid off house, right? A lot of people have a paid off house or retired. A lot of people don't. One way to, if you don't have a mortgage, I mean, there's one cost of living factor that isn't there. Now, your home insurance will go up with inflation. Your property taxes will go up with inflation. So we have clients, they live in Long Island, they're moving to Delaware. And they're saving $29,000 a year on property taxes. So some people are beating inflation by moving away, moving to Florida, moving to Texas, moving to Delaware. I think policymakers of both parties, this is a real bipartisan problem for states with high tax loads. People are leaving them with money, so they are losing tax revenue. So I think Pennsylvania, which does not have people leaving them as much, is a good indicator of what the rest of the nation should be doing. They should have like a 3% flat tax, maybe a 1% local tax, and people don't really leave over that. New Jersey, on the other hand, where taxes are north of 10%, if you have a lot saved and you're significantly wealthy, you're going to move to Florida and you're getting an instant 10% bump in your cost of living. So the way you counteract inflation is also wise tax planning, because taxes will go up. So that's very critical. So folks, type your questions in the chat. We would love to answer all of them. Raise your hand, we'll bring you up on stage. Rowe Price found that 401k participants on the whole have been staying the course. During the first half of the year, more than 95% have not made any investment exchanges. So good for you. And fewer than 1% of those fully invested in target date funds made any investment changes. Well, I would often say, well, it depends on your plan. Are you doing it because you're just doing it? Or you're doing it because that 401k is your riskier money and you're staying the course because you don't know the future? You know, that could be a wise path. Now, the firm continues to suggest, and I would agree with this, workers save at least 15% of their pay, including any employer contribution, of their annual salary for retirement. It's suggested that those close to retirement but unable to meet their retirement savings benchmarks might consider delaying retirement for a year or two, taking part-time work in retirement, or making spending adjustments. So here's the thing amidst this volatility. Get a second opinion on your wealth, but continue saving. Learn your investment options. Call us at 888-988-JOSH, and we'll help you. So in a rundown of what we discussed Genesis cashing out to receive an income. We've discussed October 17 as the deadline to correct excess IRA contributions. And folks, some of you might say, well, you know what, you're talking to rich people. You know what, let this be a reminder. If you have $200 a month to save $200 a month in a Roth. Get started. And I'm going to give you some tips on getting started, whether you're rich, poor, middle class, when we talk about our customizable model for financial planning. But we talked about excess IRA contributions. So let it be a reminder. If you didn't put money into a Roth, put it in. Beauty of a Roth is it grows tax-free and you can pull it out tax-free. So there's a lot we've talked about, but I always love to hear from you. So if you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, we got a question from Mike. We will bring you up on stage. We will also ask, we have a question from Janine. We'll go to Janine shortly. Janine, if you want to talk, just raise your hand. Mike said, how can he convert his 401k to BTC? Well, we do work with retirement plan sponsors that have embraced Bitcoin. Now, there are different cautions regulatorily on Bitcoin within a 401k. So a lot of companies, even though it's technically allowable, aren't doing it. We can figure out how to put Bitcoin within a 401k through Fidelity Digital Assets, through different pension providers. You got to make sure your pension company is willing to do it, though. And we found various 401k companies that allow it. So next up, we're going to go to Janine. You're on with Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Go ahead. Hi, Janine. Go ahead. You have a question? Okay, Janine's question is... Oh, go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm here. Thank you. Good morning. So my question is there any way around the 20% federal tax and then the 10% tax when you do an early withdrawal from your pension?
Well, how old are you? Don't mind me asking.
I'll be 40. Not a problem. I'll be 42.
Okay, well, if you are 59 and a half, you avoid the 10% early withdrawal penalty. Other ways are what are called hardship withdrawals. So have you had a hardship?
No, I'm resigning from the position.
Okay. If you rolled into an IRA, though, I'll give you the third option. One way to avoid penalties is you got to be 59 and a half. The other way is you have to have a hardship. And the definition of hardship as defined by the IRS. So if you got disabled, things like that. Losing a job doesn't necessarily count. There are provisions where if you lose a job or you have a first-time home purchase, I can read off those next hour. But for most people, the exception is called Substantial Equal and Periodic Payments Rule, SEPP. So there's something called the 72T and a 72Q. So let's say you did an IRA. If you take that 401k and you make it an IRA, and you make the IRA an SEPP, then you avoid the 10% early withdrawal penalties. You do not avoid income tax, but you avoid the extra penalties, which is a great way to get money out of a 401k over time and to put it in things that may be more tax efficient down the road. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
And the whole, headline of this part of the show might be, how to make yourself and your tax plan look more like Warren Buffett's. And if you think about Berkshire Hathaway stock, his stock is not within an IRA. It is outside of an IRA and it doesn't pay a dividend. So that tells you something. But yes, it's called SEPP. It's not the SEP IRA, by the way. It's the Substantial Equal and Periodic Payments.
WOR
So
New
we'll
York,
be,
an iHeart radio station.
We'll be
Available
done.
everywhere
We're
on our
going
free
on a
iHeart
break.
radio app.
I'll be back in
for
2-3
music,
minutes.
radio, and
So
podcasts.
type your
There's
question.
no one more
If somebody wants
connected
to
on the
talk,
radio.
they can talk.
That's why he's
Giving my
Mr. New
voice a
York.
rest.
Mark Simone, weekdays 10 to noon on the Voice of New York. 710
My point is,
WOR.
I know
An
how
iHeart
to
radio
do this
station.
from my house.
52
1 or 2
degrees at 10
chords.
o'clock. Good morning.
There is
I'm
no
Paul
reason that you
DeCastro.
guys should
3
rely
people
on
are
Tom.
hospitalized following a
Tom is
shooting
in North
after a high school
Carolina,
football game in
and he's in
Orange
Hamilton.
County. It happened last night in Newburgh just after 9:30 in a parking lot following the game between Warwick High School and Newburgh Free Academy. Authorities say a fight broke out and several shots were fired. 2 women and a man were all shot in the lower body and taken to a local hospital. The victims range in age from 19 to 43, and police say none of their injuries appear to be life-threatening. No arrests have been made. The investigation ongoing. And there was a deadly shooting at a high school football game last night in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Police are still looking for the suspect after last night's shooting at McLean High School. 2 teenagers were shot. A 17-year-old male was pronounced dead at the scene, and another 17-year-old is in stable condition. A search is underway for the suspect, who police believe is also 17 years old. People in South Carolina waking up to devastation from Hurricane Ian. It made landfall near the city of Georgetown yesterday afternoon as a Category 1 storm.
Just had you out of queue for a second, Mr. Jelinski.
Ian is now a post-tropical cyclone.
Hearing the station clearly?
The mid-Atlantic, bringing heavy rain from Virginia to
hear it,
Connecticut.
Jim.
Florida,
You guys should test
Florida
chords
officials say
before
the
we
death
start.
toll from Hurricane Ian is still
Love
high.
to test the mic.
It's now at 33 as search and recovery efforts continue along hard-hit coastal areas.
Testing
There is
1, 2,
widespread
testing
flooding
1,
on
2.
both coasts, and
And you're hearing the station clearly. I hear you clearly.
Floridians are still without power.
Sure. What show did
Mayor
you play
Adams
first
appears to be
hour?
close to a deal to have
We played a show that aired on the 17th of September. Cal mentioned to hold on to the 2 pre-records that you did yesterday.
Okay,
at
thanks.
Staten Island's home port. The mayor apparently wants to lease the luxury liner for at least 6 months. Migrants would be processed aboard the ship before entering the city's shelter system, and they would also be able to come and go while staying on the ship. I'm Lisa G., WOR News.
Congress avoided a partial government shutdown after the House passed the stopgap funding bill. Government funding for federal agencies was set to expire at midnight last night, but President Biden signed off on the legislation after House lawmakers passed it yesterday. In sports, the Mets fell to the Braves 5-2. They're now tied for first place in the National League East. Game 2 of the series tonight. Orioles beat the Yankees 2-1 in the Bronx. Aaron Judge remains tied with Roger Maris for the American League record of 61 home runs.
Here's your WOR Weather Channel forecast. Windy and wet through this first afternoon of October with periods of heavy rain at times and a high only hitting the upper 50s. Showers will continue off and on tonight with a low of 54. There will be another round of rain on Sunday with a high near 56. And then cloudy conditions for the start of the week on Monday and still cool with a high in the mid-50s. I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr.
Next News 11, start your day with Len Berman and Michael Rito in the morning, 6 till 10 weekdays. I'm Paul DeCastro on 710 WOR and NBC News radio station.
Time
Tired of losing money in the stock market roller coaster? Frustrated with the government taxing you into oblivion? Worried about inflation? How do you prepare for so many financial uncertainties? Welcome to the show that will help you develop your game plan. The Financial Quarterback with Josh Jelinski. Josh is a noted financial advisor and president of the Jelinski Advisory Group, and he's here to answer your questions. Call into the show at 800-321-0710. 800-321-0710. Now, let's kick off your financial future. Here's Josh Jelinski.
Okay, we're back taking your calls at 800-321-0710. If you have questions on stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, we're live on New York radio and nationally through iHeartRadio, Spotify, taking your calls on all hour at 800-321-0710. Get on with me right now. We are live, unscripted, uncensored. You can ask any question that you want. So Terry says this: Alto and iTrust offer crypto trading within an IRA. Well, I've never even heard of those companies, and I wouldn't give them half my money. It's like so many of you are gullible. You're sheeple. I mean, you're giving money to unregulated custodial firms that are not even proven. I heard of some of these companies that go under. So I'm not saying about those two, but it's like a lot of people. I mean, are you really that gullible? I would have a reputable third-party custodian like a Fidelity, like a Schwab, like an Interactive Brokers. People, one of the top questions of the last 12 years is, how do I know, you're not a Madoff or something like that? And the answer is because we never hold constructive receipt of your funds. We don't take custody of your funds ever. That's how you know. So we use Interactive Brokers or Schwab or Fidelity or Nationwide. So we'll use a reputable third-party custodian. They get audited. They have all these issues. They have regulatory controls. They have compliance departments. Some crypto trading outlet, I'm not going to put my hard-earned money with some company that has a name like it's funny. Crypto trading companies and churches now all of a sudden have the same names, like, these one-word kind of obscure names. No offense if you're, like Revolve or Breathe or Liquid or Nitrogen, Helium, and I'm not, bad-mouthing any particular company. It's just funny. We have to think of a company like Distortion, They have these fanciful names that, I don't know. For some reason, I guess it's trendy, but I would rather have a company that is a third-party reputable custodian. That's just me. So, House Ways and Means Committee Tuesday. So what are we going to talk about this hour? Higher income beneficiaries may see smaller premium surcharges. In a reversal, the Education Department is now excluding some borrowers from student loan relief. I thought we had student loan relief. Well, this is a problem when you don't have bills that are actually voted on and you have executive order fiats. 1 in 4 adults in the U.S. lives with a disability. Having a financial plan to address this is critical. So maybe you or a loved one have a disability, maybe a special needs situation. You have to have a plan to address this. The House Ways and Means Committee Tuesday ordered recommendation of the full House H.R. 82 and the Social Security Fairness Act of 2021, which repeals the Social Security's windfall elimination provision, which in some instances reduces Social Security benefits for individuals who also receive a pension or disability benefit from an employer that did not withhold Social Security taxes. If you work for an employer who doesn't withhold Social Security taxes from your salary, such as a governmental agency or an employer in another country, any retirement or disability pension you get from that work can reduce your Social Security benefits. The Social Security Fairness Act, this is big, folks, would eliminate the WEP, the windfall elimination provision, and the government pension offset, the GPO. These provisions can reduce benefits for public workers who do not pay Social Security taxes. I think it's dumb. You didn't pay Social Security taxes. You shouldn't get Social Security. But hey, we have a lot of clients who this affects. So hey, they'll get extra checks that they can invest with us. So God bless you. Representative Larson called again for Congress to take up his Social Security 2100 bill, which would also repeal these rules. The bill also eliminates the GPO, the government pension offset, which in various instances reduces Social Security survivors' benefits for spouses, widows, and widowers who also receive government pensions on their own. The bill's changes are effective for benefits payable after December 21. With the Ways and Means Committee reporting the bill without recommendation, it's now up to the House Democratic leadership whether to take up the bill on the House floor. So if you were a postal worker or something like that, or government worker, call up your congressperson and say, take up this bill, Social Security 2100. But chances of that happening by year end appear to be unlikely. As the Social Security Administration explains, the WEP can affect how it calculates workers' retirement or disability benefits. The WEP can reduce your retirement or disability benefits if you receive a pension based on work and you did not pay Social Security taxes. House Ways and Means Chairman Richard Neal, Democrat of Massachusetts, said Tuesday during the markup that the H.R. 82, which has 300 co-sponsors, is very popular. There are also concerns about its broader impact on the solvency of Social Security. We are faced with a very challenging question: how to address the concerns of hardworking public servants while also safeguarding Social Security for all and for generations to come. I'm committed to working closely with Ranking Member Republican Kevin Brady to find meaningful relief to those who have spent their lives in the service of their communities. So, if you are a former government worker, what's your take on this Social Security 2100 bill? I think every former government worker should call their congressperson and say, vote for Social Security 2100 bill. Now, every taxpayer may think again. So we got a bunch of callers waiting. Go ahead. We have 3 callers waiting. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ed.
Josh, I've been listening for the last hour. I wanted to talk about if the stock market goes. But you touched on this about 45 minutes ago. I'm 73, and I remember when I was 20, you could put money in a savings passport account and get 5, 6, 7, 8% interest. If everything collapses, could they go back to that system, or is that just, dreaming?
Well, right now things are paying 4, 4.5. So we are closely going to that system.
Who's paying 4.5?
Oh, insurance companies, Treasury, U.S. Treasuries are paying 4 right now. It's a glorious time for fixed interest investors.
Yeah, but it was so simple when I was 20. You went to any bank.
It's still simple, except you go to a financial advisor now. The banks aren't giving you 4; they're giving you 0.01.
Right. No, I know that. But if everything if the market collapses and everybody's living on credit cards and nobody has any cash, it sounds good, but
Well, right now the U.S. government is paying 4% for a year, 4% for 2, 4% for 5. You can get those better rates right now before they go down.
If the market goes and everybody loses their 401k,
market's already going down.
What's that?
Market's already going down.
Yeah, but if it collapses, since it's a fake bull market,
the market won't. The markets won't go away. Business will always exist. The question is, what is the bottom? No one really knows,
Yeah, but the thing is that if you have enough money, you'll do well. But for 90% of people, if it collapses, it's not good for not just the poor, but for even the middle class, because everything is a credit card economy. Isn't that reality?
So to be clear, I don't think, I've heard things are pretty bad in '08, right? And the system didn't collapse. So
Well, the system didn't collapse, but what happened is that the average person didn't do too well. I think we'll look back nostalgically at 2008 if it goes now. I don't know. Maybe I'm an old guy living on Social Security that's pessimistic.
yeah, you're being very pessimistic. The thing I've learned is that business triumphs over politics in the markets, meaning you can look at the world around you and say, this is horrible. I saw it in '08. I saw it in 2000 and 2002. And that's why I tell people have a certain amount for safety, have a certain amount for conservatism, and then have a certain amount for growth. So don't fear. But you had said, hey, you were longing for the day of 5% CDs or whatever. Well, we are pretty much very close to that. Now, just because your bank isn't paying you a better rate, that means you need to pick up the phone. Call us at 888-988-JOSH for better fixed rate options on your money. So next up, we're going to have a break and we'll be talking to Greg, who has a question on the best investments for his son, who is 23 years old. When we return, this is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher,
Josh, you there?
or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Tune in this weekend to the Financial Quarterback to hear how Josh and his team can help you decrease your tax liability and lower your risk. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Tune in every weekend to the Financial Quarterback and call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check. Tune in to the Financial Quarterback Josh Jelinski this weekend and learn how to protect your financial future in a down economy. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
Hi, this is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. My schedule just opened up this Monday or Tuesday. We have a couple spots left on Monday. I have 2 appointments available this Monday and 2 this Tuesday. So if you want to get on, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. All throughout the country, we're doing Zooms. Or you can meet me at my corporate headquarters in beautiful Toms River, New Jersey, although it's rainy today. So folks, we're taking your questions on Clubhouse, YouTube. Type your question in the chat box. I am going to give you a 27-point ultimate financial game plan if you call us at 888-988-JOSH. And later on, I'll tell you what is included in that 27-point game plan. But first, we're going to Greg. Greg, you're on.
Good morning, Josh. Thank you for taking my call. My question is, my son is a recent graduate of college and, started his career. He's 23 years old, and his investment vehicle currently is the employer 401k, a Roth 401k, and he uses his, salary, through the traditional bank. looking to give him some advice. What's your feelings on investing in the S&P 500, like a mutual fund, or for savings, as well as a Roth IRA with a focus of the S&P 500? Looking to invest about $500 per month in each of those types of funds. Wanted your opinion on those. Thank you.
Is he eligible to do a Roth?
Yes, he is.
So $500 a month in a Roth in S&P 500 type funds. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that as far as a Roth IRA, as well as, and then the second investment would be, like a mutual fund for investments focused on the S&P 500.
Well, I would do a couple things if I was a 23-year-old. First, and I'm hearing crackling, so just bring his level down, Bruce, because it's a little frustrating. First, you can do three things. Number one, make sure your 23-year-old son gets disability insurance. Why? It's cheap, and too many people, 1 out of every 4 adults are disabled, or some horrible statistic like that. So make sure he gets disability insurance while he's cheap. Then make sure he gets term life insurance that's convertible to whole while he's cheap. Then make sure he gets a 6-month emergency fund in the bank while he's young. Not while he's cheap, while he's young. While it's cheap. Then look at doing a Roth for $500 a month or something like that in growth-oriented, strategic type accounts. You could look at stocks that do not pay a dividend, similar to Warren Buffett's approach. We have portfolios of individual stocks that pay a dividend and portfolios of individual stocks that do not pay a dividend. And we also have programs where you buy index funds or ETFs, but you don't want to have all the index funds in the S&P. You want to overweight. The French Fama theory would talk about having 10 to 15%, for example, in small cap value. If you look at an asset class, according to University of Chicago researchers, French and Fama, a portfolio with some exposure to small cap, like a small cap value index mixed in with the S&P, has outperformed the S&P since 1927. So you want to look at building a long-term portfolio of index-based ETFs, individual stocks. Make sure he doesn't cheap out on insurance, get disability insurance. And also something that younger people could look at too is maximum funded tax advantage insurance contracts, which will grow tax-free and he could pull it out tax-free. So you could look at all of those things. I hope that helps. Any other questions?
No, that really does. Should the disability insurance and the term life be separate from what the employer offers? Or
yes, you want it portable. You want it portable because most people don't keep their job with the same employer forever. And then when he's older, it becomes, but you can actually, what's kind of cool is you can buy like what's called an FIO, a future insurability option. So the base plan can be covered by the work plan, but I'm talking like $30 a month at his age or $50 a month. It's very cheap.
Oh, great.
I would definitely do it. Why? Too many people don't buy insurance when they're young and it's very cheap. And then they wait till they're older and they need it and it's expensive or it's unattainable. So if I'm helping a young person, don't get term insurance, get term insurance, convertible to whole, get disability insurance, build an emergency fund, max out your Roth IRA. If he has a workplace plan, max out the Roth 401k. And then I'll look at cash value insurance. Also look at stocks that do not pay a dividend like Berkshire Hathaway, because that's a very powerful long-term. I'm not telling you to buy Berkshire Hathaway stock, okay? I own it, clients own it, but if Warren Buffett dies, there could be risk. But I mean the principle of people think, I want a dividend-paying stock. If you're young, you really don't, because all of those years of dividends, paying tax on that, you'll lose the tax revenue plus the opportunity cost on the taxes. So I hope that helps.
Okay.
Next up, we have
it does. Thank
Alice.
you so much.
Great question, Greg. And folks, if Greg, if you want help with your son, we will make our services available free for 1 hour if you call us at 888-988-JOSH. We love to help young people get started so they become more astute financial planners on their own, no matter what their wealth. So call us 888-988-JOSH for the free 27-point ultimate financial game plan. Next up, Alice. Go ahead.
Hi, Josh. Good morning.
Good morning.
My question is on RMDs. A few weeks ago, you had a caller. I think he's a regular, so I hope he's listening. Named Tom, but I don't know what state he was in. He said that he had spoken to his legislators about his idea, which is the same idea as mine, to ask Congress to make another waiver to pay RMD for this year because we have been hit so badly. So that's basically my idea to anyone out there listening. I mean, I've been paying RMD for 10 years. You know, it's the group that's not getting a break. The age is being raised up to eventually 75. Now it's 73. But there's no break for the old people over 75 that have already been paying. I'm looking for a help for us on the other end of it, not the starting end, but the ending end, which would, well, a waiver, of course, would help everybody. But that's the main thing. I'm asking people out there who are listening that are in this age group, call your Congress people and tell them you need a waiver of RMD for this year. Okay, so that's my suggestion for today. I'm writing a congressional bill. I want to send it to Kevin Brady, but he's not my congressperson, to try to help people. I have many other ideas on this, like dropping the percentage, which increases every year, and I think even some accountants are not aware that the percentage using the life expectancy chart goes up every year. When we have less money and can't work to help ourselves, they're making the percentage that we have to pay on even more due to that chart, which there are accountants that are not even aware of that. So everything is so hard for the older people who were responsible. I started IRAs more than 30 years ago, and of course you know where my IRA is now. But for those of us that were responsible, we don't need incentives to fund our IRAs like they're giving to the young people. You know, we did that. We were responsible. And I think it's time for the older people to have Congress, you know, with all the trillions and billions they're giving out of free money, we are not getting any free money. This would be just to help on what we were already paying. It's not even free money. What do you think of the idea?
I love the idea, and do I think it'll happen? I don't know. You know, probably not. But they did this in 2020, so maybe they'll do it again in enough people. So if you're over 72, which, you
73, even 70, okay.
If you're over a certain age, you value what Alice is saying, call your congressperson and say, waive the RMDs for 2022. I'll give you a little tip. You got to be simpler. If you're trying to get somebody to do what you want, you got to make it simple, right? So we want RMDs waived for 2022. Call your congressperson. Also, call your congressperson on the 2100 bill for Social Security. That'll really help retired federal government workers. And folks, if you are a federal worker, call us at 888-988-JOSH for our free federal worker benefits and you. We know all about FEGLI and the TSP, and we can help you. We're not affiliated with any government or governmental institution, but we can help you learn your benefits better. But but here's the thing. All these nice gimmies have to be paid for. So I don't know if they'll do this, but you can try, right? Ask, and you may receive.
Not a freebie, remember. It's just paying less on ours. They're not giving us anything. It's just based on,
it is a freebie because the government isn't getting their revenue. They didn't. You got to realize, in the government, in the 401k, I'm agreeing with you, Alice, but I'm just saying is, you didn't pay tax on that money for 20, 40, 30 years. So the 401k, the deal with the 401k is that you don't pay tax on it until you're retired. That was the deal you signed up for.
Josh, the Roths were not created when I started for 10 years.
No, I know. I've talked about this for years. You've listened to me, I'm sure. Your voice sounds familiar.
Yes, I have.
So I've talked about that for years. People said I was an idiot. When I started my show, 15 years ago, they said, oh, who is this guy talking bad about the 401k? He's a moron. Get him off the radio. No. And now I was proved very wise. I knew that when I was 23 in the business, that this whole 401k, TSP 403B was a ruse. Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan of New York called this. He said, basically, we created a plan for working people that when they retire, they're going to have to pay taxes when the government's in all this debt. So you're right. A lot of these things are on the backs of those who are good little boys and girls who did what they were supposed to. They saved their money and it feels unfair. Okay, final thought, Alice. We got to go to Teddy next. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Teddy. You're on. Teddy. Okay. Teddy, Altoona, go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, Josh. Can
Good
you hear
morning.
me?
Yes.
Josh, let me ask you this. The stock market, I learned when I was younger. I'm 72 now. As you age, you grow in many ways. I panicked in the summer of 2000. I was home. I was still teaching. The market was going down. I shouldn't have watched CNBC. I sold a lot of things. Regrettably, it came back. In 2008, Josh, don't you think the financial crisis that we had back then is worse than what we have now? And when people sold out, they, regrettably, they lost. When you sell, you take a loss. But if you hold on, it came back. And I'm thinking the same way now. I'm still ahead of the game, but I decreased my profit now, and I'm reinvesting the dividends in my stocks. So within 5 years, don't you feel that the market will be back and growing again?
I have no clue. Generally, the market is usually greater 10 years from today. But in 2000, that wasn't the case. 2000 to 2010 was a lost decade for equities. But then, if like you said, if you just kept with it and you held the firm from 2010 to 2020, I think it tripled. So time is a friend to the investor. Don't panic sell is a good tip. But I don't know what you're holding. I don't know what Joe Smith is holding listening on the air right now. You may be in crap funds, So I think it depends on each investor. I think if people are wigged out, I think, panic selling's bad. But if you're 100% in equities, shame on you. Maybe you should be 30% in more conservative stuff, or 40, so that you don't sell the other 60. That's what I'm more about. But I think generally people shouldn't panic sell. I think if they're worried about the market, they should call us, 888-988-JOSH. We will review your top 5 holdings from a standpoint of risk, fees, and taxation. But definitely, I think it's a good word for most people. Any other questions or comments on that, Teddy?
Yeah, I want to second with that. The previous caller, the woman had an excellent idea, and I'll write to my congressman, whoever that may be. But because for people, in their 70s, we're not taking advantage. We don't have a shot like what Congress did for people raising the minimum age to take their RMD. And I think that would be very beneficial to a lot of people because of the way the market is now, and just reducing the amount that you have to take by reducing the percentage. I think that's an excellent idea. And Josh, one last thing.
Number one, they're not reducing the percentages. They already changed that. That's not going to happen. Maybe they'll waive the RMD. So the reason why the percentage increases is because that 401k was a tax break for you so you could afford retirement. So the idea was that your money grows till 72. It was 70 and a half. It will be about 75. And that your money is amortized or spent from 75 to 90 or however long you live, basically. so that your 401k or IRA is emptied for your retirement. And the Secure Act showed that 401k is not for your kids. That's for your retirement. That was the concept of it. And Mitt Romney kind of changed that when he had the $60 million IRA. Last thoughts, and then we got to take a break.
Yes, last thought. Josh, I think you would agree with me on this. The studies have said that if you miss maybe 8 or the 10 best days of a market returning to a bull market, you miss a large percentage of the gain that you could have made. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I don't like when anybody questions me like that. It's like you're... Do you know where you were on the night of February 4th? I could converse. I generally agree with the 10 best days and the 10 worst, but there's another corollary to that called the 10 worst days. So if you miss the 10 worst days, that will really help your portfolio. So I generally agree with that people have a hard time. Most people, timing's impossible, the exact top or bottom. So if you stay in it, what I believe is that if you have money that you can hold on to for 10 years, right? That could be a worthy buy and hold candidate for market-based money. So if you, or maybe even 5 years. So you need to, whatever your market money is, as long as you don't need it for your bills. The problem is too many people are overweighted to equities because we had such a good run from 2009 to 2021. They should have had 30% in cash, treasuries, bonds, annuities, fixed things, and they didn't. So that's the problem now. So I'm not going to, if someone was an idiot and has 100% of their money in stocks, I don't say good boy. I don't say good boy, Teddy. You had all your money in stocks and your wife's ready to divorce you because your portfolio is down by $500,000. Well, so it's a, it depends on the fact pattern of the individual. That's why everybody should call for their own individual review at 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-JOSH. Do not rely on pithy sayings like the 10 best days or the 10 worst days. They are generally true, but you have to build a portfolio that's built for you. So call us 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Tune in to the financial quarterback Josh Chalinsky this weekend and learn how to protect your financial future in a down economy. Josh and his team at the Chalinsky Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the financial quarterback. Count on Josh Chalinsky to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Chalinsky.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
Okay, we're back. Taking your calls on all hour 800-321-0710. If you're live on YouTube, type a question in the chat box. If you're live on Clubhouse, type your question in the chat. Share the room or call us 800-321-0710. We are answering all of your questions live. Can I share my screen or no today? We got Dan who has a question on, is the RMD a bad idea? Go ahead, Dan.
Well, okay. First, good morning, Mr. Chalinsky, and I appreciate you taking my call. So, in the law, there are various types of discriminatory issues that you're not allowed to do. One of them is age discrimination. Now, I strongly believe that the RMD, from its inception, was age discriminatory, there is no other, and you can correct me, please, there is no other investment that I know that require or force a person because of age, strictly because of age, to take a distribution. There's nothing, okay? So to me, by this factor, okay, it from its inception, okay, it was discriminatory, okay? Now, I like to also add to the point, well, you knew it from the beginning, okay, and all those years you didn't pay taxes. Well, it's all very fine. But if you take, for example, investment in tax-free, variety of instrument tax-free here you never pay any taxes, especially if it's a
no, you do pay taxes when you do a Roth. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're accurate for the following reasons. Number one, it was a deal with the government. When you do a pre-tax vehicle, you may not have known that, but that is the deal. You are choosing to not pay taxes for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I don't like it either. But it's not age discrimination. It's the nature of the whole concept. Meaning, the deal is when you do an IRA, 401k, 403b, you are not paying taxes for 30 to 50 years of growth. The government has an incentive for you to do that so your money can grow large, so that you don't go on welfare or Medicaid, so that you live off of your assets when you're retired. It's not age discrimination. That's the plan. You have the option since the late 90s of doing a Roth. The Roth is you're choosing to pay tax up front. So you are paying tax on both. On the IRA, you're paying tax when you're retired and can least afford it. So I agree with you. It's kind of a crummy thing that's happening to many retirees. But it's not age discrimination. It's just the nature of the plan. It's like pension. You pay tax on your pension. You pay, it's just, I think, but a Roth, you're paying tax up front. You're not avoiding taxes when you do a Roth. You are choosing. So if you have $1 and the money goes in a 401k, you still have $1. But when you have $1 and you choose to put that, $1 of earned income is only 80, 70 cents when you put that in a Roth. So you have less money working for you in a Roth than in an IRA. Now, ideally, if tax rates stayed the same, an IRA or Roth would really have the same result. I've worked out the math. So if there's a 20% tax bracket when you work and a 20% tax bracket when you retire, it really didn't matter whether you did a Roth or whether you did a traditional. Here's where it matters, though, is now your biggest asset in many cases is the 401k or IRA. And you have RMDs. And then this is what's unfair. They do what's called the IRMA, the income-related Medicare adjustment. So you're paying a tax in some cases of $500 extra a spouse because you did what was supposed to. So IRMA should be banned, not taxation on an IRA or 401k. IRMA is the thing that's really penalizes those who did a good job. And then there are various other issues where IRMA is something called income-related Medicare adjustment, where somebody who saved a lot of money in an IRA could pay extra Medicare premiums, upwards of like $12,000 a couple, because they did what they were supposed to do. So,
can I respond, please?
Yeah, I didn't know this was a debate, but go ahead.
Well, no, it's not a debate. It's an opinion. I respect your opinion. I like to kind of sharpen it a little bit, if you let me.
But
please,
you've listened for years. I've advocated for Roths and tax-free investing for years.
I don't deny it, sir. Okay, you're excellent host, and I appreciate it. Okay, all I'm saying here is, and that's what I put my question in this way, that there is no other investment that at a certain point, because of an age, and this is the point, because of an age, you're required to take distribution, okay? Nothing. This is the only thing, and I'm saying here, the way it was designed from the beginning, okay, it is different than anything else, okay? And it hits people, at a later age, and by this, it target a group of people here, to the worst part, okay? That's what I'm saying here. And that's
but it's not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's age discrimination. I've seen more and more people. Our average, we have people call us. They have $1 million in an IRA. Let's cry for that person. Boo-hoo. They're $2 million in an IRA, $5 million in an IRA. We're here for you, Dan. If you've saved a lot in an IRA, 401k, you've been listening for many years, you know that we have tax distribution strategies. I've been telling people for years to diversify into Roths and cash value insurance. When I was the only guy on the radio who said this for years. Not the best-selling authors, not the Ramseys, not the Ormans, not, Edelman. None of those people talked about what I've talked about for 12 years. So if anything, I have been a voice for seniors who are getting really hurt by IRA taxation. But I don't think you're going to have much done. I mean, I'm trying to educate. Call your congressperson. The stretch IRA being killed is that's a big problem to me, because that was a part of the original contract, meaning that you'd be able to pass on this money to your heirs. But you know what? The government, when it has Section 401k, it means the government created it. So there is a government objective, which is tax revenue when you're older and you feel it more. What you're saying is, I'm a senior and I feel the RMD more. I agree with that completely. Where I disagree is not necessarily age discrimination, because you didn't pay tax on that money for 40 or 50 years. And you probably built it to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And yes, it presents a problem, but there are strategies that you can do to mitigate that. So if you want to learn more about those, call us at 888-988-JOSH. I would love to help our listeners who have significant amounts of money in their IRAs find ways to save on taxes. Is it unfair? I would say yes. Age discrimination's a little much. So it's more of a being clear with your words. That's all. So thanks so much. Give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. If you have a significant amount in IRAs and don't know what to do with it, call us now, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after these messages.
Maybe it seems like prices can't get much higher, or that the stock market is headed for bear territory, or maybe you're worried about another great recession. Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, can help you protect your family's financial future in times like these. Tune in this weekend to The Financial Quarterback to hear how Josh and his team can help you decrease your tax liability and lower your risk. Call 888-988-5674 to take advantage of Josh's 27-point plan to achieve financial health. And when you call, you'll receive a free copy of Josh's book, Retirement Reality Check. Tune in every weekend to The Financial Quarterback and call 888-988-5674 to receive your free copy of Retirement Reality Check. Tune in to The Financial Quarterback Josh Jelinski this weekend and learn how to protect your financial future in a down economy. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to The Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. So give me a call, 800-321-0710. Do you agree with Dan? Is it age discrimination The 401k is age discrimination. I would say it's a deal that many of you signed up for in the 80s and 90s and didn't realize the full implications. But I will tell you, I realized it when I was 23. I said, this is a scam. They're having all these people do the 401k, and then when they retire, they're going to pay all this tax. But you know what? I've benefited from it. You get the tax breaks. You get the tax breaks. Your accountant says, you know what? You get your mortgage interest, you get your 401k. So I do it too. But do I think it's a little scammy? Sure. But age discrimination, I don't know. So 800-321-0710. Is Dan right? Is it age discrimination? I'll tell you what, I've met more and more people who've become millionaires due to the 401k than any other vehicle. Regular people saving. I think the problem for somebody like Dan is, I came from no money, Dan probably came from no money, and Dan might have $2 million in an IRA or 401k, and he might feel like he arrived. And then he realizes, man, I'm getting 10 grand a month from my IRA, but I got to pay 3 grand a month in taxes. And he feels like, you know what? I didn't know about this. You know what? I've been talking about this for 12 years on the radio in New York and around the country. And before that, I was on WOBM, Monmouth and Ocean, talking about that. I've been giving seminars on 401ks and IRA problems for years. And people said, you know, you're a little weird. You're telling people don't put all your money in a 401k. I was ahead of the curve. I'm just saying I don't think it's age discrimination. That's all. So who's right? Me or Dan? Give us a call. 800-321-0710. If you have a question, now is the time to chime. If you have a question on Clubhouse or YouTube, type it in the chat box. We would love to have you ask me any and every financial question you have. We are live on Clubhouse, YouTube. Drop your questions in the chat box. Do we have any questioners on YouTube? So give us a call now, 888-988-JOSH. Let's go to the map. We're going to go to, I don't know, the Zoom, and we are going to load the history of the marginal tax bracket. So this is pretty crazy. What if I could tell you that the big problem in the 401k is not merely taxation, but also something called inflation. So check this out. If you think the 401k is not for you, watch this. Now, so I'm going to show on the YouTube a calculator that we do. Somebody's 25, they retire at age 65. They have 50 grand in their 401k. And then I'll try to blow it up. You can watch the YouTube now. And let's say your employer puts in 4 grand a year and you put in 10 grand a year. I don't know. And your salary is 100 grand. So you get 10% match. I will talk about this problem when we return, but first, we're going to various callers. Go ahead. You're on with Josh Chilinsky, the financial quarterback. But Jimmy, go ahead.
You talking to me?
Yeah. You talking to me? Go ahead.
I'm Mike. I'm not Jimmy.
Okay, well, you must have, maybe you blocked out your name. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Yes, I'd like to ask Josh about the RMD.
Sure, I'm Josh.
What am I going to do with the money that they're forcing me to take out?
That's a great question. What do you do with the RMDs? Well, you want to avoid double taxation. So a lot of you will take money out of an IRA. You don't need the RMD to live. So what do you do with that money? I'm going to give you 4 tips. When we return, we got to take our final break of the hour. This is Josh Chilinsky, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Tune in to the financial quarterback Josh Chilinsky this weekend and learn how to protect your financial future in a down economy. Josh and his team at the Jelinski Advisory Group can help you lower your taxes and lower your risk in these uncertain times with a 27-point checklist designed to improve your financial health. Whether you're worried about runaway prices, fear of an upcoming recession, or a stock market meltdown, tune in to the Financial Quarterback and count on Josh Jelinski to call the play. For a free copy of Josh's book, The Retirement Reality Check, call 888-988-5674. That's 888-988-5674. Or visit Jelinski.org. That's JALINSKI.org.
Okay, we're back. This is Josh Jelinski, the Financial Quarterback. And we got James, who has a question on what to do with his RMD now that he's got it, but don't need it. A lot of you are like that. And you can do one of four things so that you don't pay double taxation. Number one, you could put in a 529 for your kid or grandkid. Number two, you could put in a Roth for your kid or grandkid, or your own self in a Roth if you have wages. Number three, you can put it in a cash value life insurance policy that grows tax-free. You can pull it out tax-free. Number four, you can put in muni bonds that are tax-free. So all of those are four ways to avoid tax after you've paid the tax once, so you avoid double taxation on your RMD. If you like stocks, you can buy ETFs or stocks that do not pay a dividend, so you avoid paying taxes on money you're not spending. That is a big principle of my financial planning. Do not pay tax on money you're not spending. And too many of you are doing that. We're also getting a bevy of calls who are saying, how can I get 4%? Well, there are terms and conditions, but generally speaking, you can do a 1-year commitment, 2-year commitment, or 3-year commitment type product right now and get 4%. Now, I would even say you may want to stretch it out 5 or 7 years because I think rates are going to be lower the minute the second the Fed realizes they can lower rates, they're going to. Now, I don't know when that'll be. Could be a year from now, could be 2 years from now, could be 2 months from now. No one knows the future. But for those of you who are waiting for 8 or 9% interest rates, that may never happen. So it may happen. The future is unknowable. So you can get very nice MIGA rates. Those are multi-year guaranteed annuity rates for 3, 5, and 7 years. The only negative of those, there's no internal fee. There's no commission being taken out of your account. The only negative is if you leave the company or take more than 10% out a year, you generally either lose interest or get a surrender charge. But that would happen with the Treasury. If you do a 3-year Treasury and people don't want your Treasury anymore, you could lose money on the open market if you go to sell your Treasury. So we are at a golden age of fixed interest. So we're taking your calls now on All Matters Financial. James, any other questions, or did that help you? I think James. Yes. Did that help you?
I just want to know, is there a difference between the Treasury bill or Treasury bonds? Is that the same thing?
Well, Treasury bills and Treasury bonds are basically the same thing in that you're giving money to the federal government, backed by the full faith and credit of the government, but it's different in that the time commitment. Treasury bills are more shorter term. Treasury bonds are more longer term. So you might buy a 10-year Treasury bond, and that will give you interest for 10 years. T-bill might be a 91-day T-bill or a 364-day T-bill or a 182-day T-bill. Which, folks, I want you all to dust off your bank statement, and if your bank is paying you 0.01 or 0.04, time to get a new bank, because you could do T-bills, T-bonds, and get way better rates right now. Folks, give us a call now, 888-988-JOSH, for the 27-point ultimate financial game plan. Call me right now, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674. And then when we return, we will have more questions on Clubhouse and YouTube. So if you want to Head over to the YouTube. We'll be taking listener questions in a rare after-hours session. 888-988-JOSH for the 27-point ultimate
The preceding
game plan.
program was sponsored by the Jelensky Advisory Group. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior Market Advisor, and top of the $1 Million Roundtable, are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Josh Jelensky or Wealth Quarterback LLC. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Wealth Quarterback website at jelensky.org. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions, the information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, Josh Jelensky and Wealth Quarterback do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature, is provided for informational purposes only, and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Investment advisory services offered through Wealth Quarterback LLC.
WOR and WAXQ HD2 New York, an iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. Number 1 for music, radio, and podcasts.
Local, national, international. He's on top of the stories that matter to you. John Batchelor, weeknights from 9 till midnight on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
An iHeart radio station.
It is 53 degrees at 11 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Paul DeCastro. A homeless woman is dead after she was struck by a subway train this morning in Manhattan. The woman was on the tracks just before 6:30 when she was hit by the a sharp object and slashed the 43-year-old victim across the neck and body. Bailey died at a local hospital. Police say the suspect fled and remains at large. At least 33 people